Welcome
Welcome.
to the first ever Strong Coffee and Strong Conversation podcast, being recorded live in the Northwest, and that's all the information we'll give on our location.
Vague, like that.
Very vague. I am Hodge, and I'm joined today, and probably in most weeks,
I hope so, by Alex.
Short for
Alexander, surprisingly.
Alexander Mugabe.
Too soon.
That's
Too soon.
That's a subject we'll touch on later on in the show. So what are we, Alexander? Hey,
Just two guys talking about strong conversation whilst drinking mildly strong coffee. I'd say this one's quite strong.
talking about strong conversation.
That's how we do.
So what coffee are we drinking today, Alexander?
Well, for myself, I've decided to go decaf, which I thought I'd never ever do, but strong convictions have led me to this. What have we got here? So we got decaffeine. I'm just getting into the French spirit. Law, you bought this.
I did.
Hodge
bought this.
Hodge, you bought this. Law decaffeine, balanced and aromatic. It is very aromatic. It's got a certain taste that you can't really describe, apart from aromatic, I'd say.
And they do speak. They speak French in some parts of North Africa.
They do.
So I
They
guess
do.
you
Yeah,
could
that's
say,
true.
not only could it be aromatic,
It's African.
it could be aromatic.
I mean, is that Africa? I don't know.
I mean, it's a blurred line.
It is.
Some North Africans may feel more Arab than others.
Than others. Probably the southern.
I mean, to be fair, I know nothing about North African culture, so they probably don't feel Arabic.
Yeah, don't quote us on that.
Although they probably speak Arabic.
Yeah.
Because of the Quran.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, the Quran is in Arabic.
True.
And I'm drinking.
Any comments on that? Please shout them out to us.
Yeah.
Leave us a comment.
Leave us a comment. If you're the first ever listener to this podcast, and to be fair, that'll probably just be us listening back.
Listening back to us. Or some
On the way to
reluctant
work.
person who has to listen to it.
Yes. I'm drinking.
Yeah,
It's Nescafe Alta Rica.
Oh, interesting.
And I'd not seen it before. I was in Waitrose doing my regular browse. I don't go to Waitrose very often, other than for coffee, in fact.
There is a Waitrose near us.
Yeah, maybe a bacon sarnie as well. But I saw it, and it's got intense and bold strength. And to be fair, for instant coffee, it gets you to the place you need it to.
The drug takes you to where it needs to get.
The drug takes you where it needs to get you, and
It's probably a conversation for another time, but
I mean, I wouldn't take drugs.
I'm off drugs now. No, I'm on decaf. I've stopped my addiction.
I mean, that's a point that might need to be raised.
If
This entire podcast is going to be named after something that you claim to be a drug, and something that I can assume in front of you.
If it was my decision, it'd be strong conversation and strong decaf coffee. When I walk into Starbucks now, I have to ask for a caramel decaf cappuccino, and then just watch as the barista just looks at me like, man, if I wasn't working, I'd slap you right now. But they can't, so they're legally and contractually obliged not to do that. So it's actually quite nice
to give you the coffee.
Yeah, I think they'd rather pour it in my
contract.
face rather than give me decaf. And my boss, I do work as well, has a mug that says "Death before decaf" with a skull with a dagger through it. And I look at that sometimes and I think, wow, if he wasn't contractually obliged to employ me, he'd probably do that to me. Because people have strong feelings about coffee.
People do.
Would you say that?
Yeah, I mean,
It's quite a strong conversation.
it is, and I think that's why it fits into this topic quite well. Because I think, like politics, like sport, like entertainment, all these things that we want to talk about in this podcast, people have opinions on them.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
And I guess that's what we want to highlight in this podcast, is that even just sitting down and having a conversation, and hopefully at other points we might get guests along.
I hope so. I do, because it's getting a bit dry already.
It is. I'm bored of your conversation, your company.
It's getting personal now.
But I mean, you raised an interesting point there about going into Starbucks, and I find that funny because I know you slightly well, Alexander, and Starbucks actually fund the Israeli army, and that's not something that I imagine you'd be totally on board with. I don't know you.
I mean, I wasn't aware of that either. I mean, I wasn't on I didn't go to the Starbucks induction weekend and But then you go, you know what, Alex, we're going to be funding the Israeli army this weekend. But next weekend we're going to be serving some coffee. But the one thing I did hear a long time ago was something to do with Starbucks and their taxes.
I mean, everyone's heard that.
I mean, it's quite a well-known story, but that was about
It's just
6 years ago, so I'm not sure if it's still going on.
Have they sorted it out yet?
That's a good
Something that we can look into.
do some research.
Admittedly, I mean, we live in a nice city in the northwest. Probably the nicest in the northwest, I'd say.
Definitely.
I mean, we're not from the northwest, and so I think
Definitely
we're in a position to comment on that.
Yeah.
Without a bias.
Yeah, we're from the outside. Yeah.
And they have many independent coffee shops, and so I would say if I was in town, if I was in the centre of this unknown city, then I'd probably go to one of their incredible independent coffee shops.
Like we did today. Pretty much.
Well, almost went to one. We went to an independent little cafe instead.
Yeah, to a deli.
Yeah, I had a kale, cheese, and
that was a strong choice.
Something soup, cauliflower. Making myself seem really millennial. I'm talking about independent coffee shops and kale soup.
Yeah.
But you've got to try these things, you know. And I wouldn't describe myself as particularly a millennial. I think I maybe suffer from some of the repercussions of being born at the same time as people that think they're a different gender.
That's a different topic for another time. We'll get back to that.
Hodge has got stronger.
Yeah, let's just go back to what we were talking about to start off with. So you don't think I'd be someone to buy something from Starbucks?
Well, I mean, it's difficult because we live very sheltered. We live in the United Kingdom, and the most trouble we see is a couple of people cold, out on the streets, which is bad. But we don't see conflict. And I remember being shocked when I travelled home from university a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago, and went through London. So that gives you a hint. I don't live in London. Never have, never will.
No.
But I remember queuing quite politely, I think, to get up the escalators out of Paddington Underground.
Yeah. I
needed to get on the above ground Paddington trains. Okay.
Mm.
And people were there was this one guy barged his way through, right? And this other guy takes offence to it, which I can see why. And he starts battering him. They start kind of push each other around and shouting crude expressions at one another.
Wow.
And I just think that was quite intimidating.
Yeah.
That was quite scary. Not for the fact that I thought I was going to die or anything, but just because I didn't want to see someone else get clobbered.
Yeah, exactly.
And so in terms of the Palestine-Israel conflict, in comparison, I am aware I'm in a poor position to speak.
To comment, yeah.
Do I think coffee shops should be funding an army? Probably not. Does it put me off of shopping in Starbucks? No. And
when you say funding, do you mean financially or caffeine funding?
I mean,
are they fueling?
That's a good point. Actually, I've not seen who or which Israeli soldiers drink what coffee.
Know. Yeah, exactly.
I doubt Starbucks would put their name on it.
Yeah, probably not. It's not good marketing.
No, but I think, we were talking about it today, consumerism. And the valid point that even though we're aware of it, we fall trapped to it.
Yeah.
And there's murmurings of a third inhabitant. But it's true, unless a company did something shocking or horrific, I wouldn't stop going there. That's not because I don't think I have morals, but Starbucks coffee tastes quite nice. And actually, I tend not to go there very often anyway, so my response to it would be, that's fine. I'm only giving them £3. They probably can't even buy a bag of bullets with that.
So, I wouldn't put it past them.
But then if everyone thinks that...
But exactly, yeah. That's the whole point of consumerism is that it's not just you spending £10 on a T-shirt in Primark or, I don't know, another shop which employs...
You'd be mugging yourself off if you spent £10 on a T-shirt.
True. But even so, you spend £10 on Primark and you're like, oh, I heard Primark employ children who have no homes or whatever. Like slave... what are they called? Slave labour. Slave labour.
Big factory.
You're like, oh, I'm not supporting it that much. But actually, when it all amounts up, Primark is $1 billion company.
We happened to go into Primark today, didn't we? And we did. Ironic, because I don't think either of us have bought anything from there for a while, because I think it's one of the easier brands, easier shops to avoid shopping in. but I'd seen a nice T-shirt when I was in there last week, and went in to look. And it's clear, you know, there are T-shirts for £2. There's jumpers, there's shoes for a tenner, and it's not as cheap as it used to be. I don't think for a lot of products, but they still get away with it, even though everyone knows. And it's always busy. You know, it's a big store, and it's always busy. And so that's it's something that you kind of feel a bit hesitant to even mention to people, because they would agree with you, but then who stops going? And we will stop going, but there's always going to be people. We're blessed to not be at a position in our lives where we're struggling financially.
Exactly.
We don't have lots of money, but we can afford to go and shop in various places every now and then and buy one or two things that we wouldn't have been able to do before we went working.
Yeah, definitely, I'd agree with that.
But there's a lot of people that can't have that luxury. Anyway, that's been the first part of this podcast. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break.
It's been interesting.
Then we'll come back and we're going to talk music.
Awesome. Well, we'll get back to you soon.
Oh, welcome back.
Welcome.
It feels like an eternity since we were here.
It has been quite a while.
I've just spilled drinkable yogurt down me.
Yeah, you have. That
but
was quite miraculous.
It tastes like the jumper needs a wash anyway.
Happening, yeah. Oh, Astor as well.
I just thought it wasn't worth buying. What was it?
What?
Dacamole? Whack-a-mole. Actimel.
Yeah, that's the one.
Or Yakult or something.
Yakult. Yeah, but Actimel's
the one.
The boy.
So the reason that old Alexander and I say it's a while is because I think it's been almost 2 weeks. Or maybe over 2 weeks.
No, it's probably been about... Yeah, it probably has been about 2 weeks, yeah. Actually thinking about it, has been Hodge.
And I've heard there have been numerous fans clamouring for the first revelation of SC and SC
just something
podcast
festering under the surface.
Lethal Bizzle has been at it again.
Fester skank. Been Fester skanking away, ready for the release of our first podcast, which isn't even out yet.
And little did we know.
Already we've got fans.
Little did we know that when Fester Skank was released, it was just talking about this.
Yeah.
The festering of this.
Some would say.
Yeah. Or pathetically.
Yeah. I went to see Lethal Bizzle once. That was interesting.
Where?
Went to see him in a club near to where we are. Undisclosed location.
Was there a festering smell of skanking?
There was some skanking from a festered-based
audience. An audience that had been festered with the bass.
With the skanking and the bass and the skanking.
Do you know what bass I like?
Bass God.
The buttery biscuit bass.
Shout out Mary Berry for listening.
No, not Mary Berry. MasterChef.
Oh, sorry, mate.
Paul, whatever his name is.
Culturally, not that
Not
sound.
that ilk.
Which is quite ironic, but anyway.
Why is it ironic?
Because we're doing a podcast on culture.
Not really.
Oh, not really. And also, we're back as well with strong coffee and strong conversation.
But we don't have any coffee.
Yeah, that's the name of this podcast, by the way. We didn't mention that.
But we ran out of decaf coffee.
His voice is also running out.
Oh, it's constantly running out. It's almost 1 minute past 10.
Yes. So we should probably get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to get decaf coffee this evening to add to the vitality of the show.
We're getting some tomorrow.
We've ordered from
Ocado.
That's the one.
Which is like the most middle class supermarket.
We're trying to get there.
What?
We're trying to get there.
Yeah, we are trying to, aren't we?
Next step, dog.
Yeah. Well,
step after that, we move to the Wirral.
Why would you want to move there? You don't live anywhere near there.
So we were talking.
We genuinely don't.
We were talking towards the end of the last segment, which now seems like a distant memory. Did you ever watch The Never-Ending Story?
No.
It's about, all I can remember is just this big dog, sausage dog, flying through space with a kid on its back, and it just. I don't know if it was a placebo effect, but when I used to watch it as a kid.
Right.
I genuinely thought it went on for hours and hours. And that's what it feels like. It feels like I started watching The Never-Ending Story and here I am watching the second half of it.
This is probably slightly longer as well.
Than The Never-Ending Story.
Yeah.
This is literally Never-Ending times 2.
Who knows, we could still be making this when we're like 50.
Well, I mean, I'd like to think so.
Maybe.
There's a few guests we'd like to get on.
There is one particular guest I'm thinking of.
David Beckham.
I was thinking Michael Jackson, but yeah, he's gone. Rest in peace.
Too soon.
Yeah.
But we didn't actually introduce what the podcast was about.
No, we didn't. No, we should probably visit that topic once again.
Let's whip that car around the bend to
I
a little town called What's This Podcast About?
I was going to do something really cringy then.
Hong Kong.
Beep beep. Or for the. No, anyway. Yeah, we should probably go around on that topic.
What does it mean
we kind of mentioned it a bit earlier with the conversation of culture. That's a good name for a podcast.
Primark.
I need to write that down. Yeah, we were talking about Primark, but also earlier in this segment about what strong coffee and strong conversation is about. And it kind of says it on the tin, if I'm going to be honest.
We have not yet made a tin.
No. That's going to be part of our merchandise.
If you want a biscuit tin.
Yeah. So essentially, we're going to be hopefully drinking some coffee. We've run out already.
Edward,
This is the first
would you like
episode.
a biscuit tin?
Yeah, he's not replying. And then strong conversation is the other half of that,
Yeah.
which we hope lives up to its full name and potential. But the topics we can talk about are very, very varied.
We hope to only offend 20% of our listeners.
If you try to never offend anyone, you'll never get anywhere.
Spoken like the true leader of a cult.
But in all seriousness, what we speak about is entirely subjective and based on our own upbringing, facts,
Based on our knowledge of the world.
our faith, that kind of thing.
Fact, faith, figures.
Exactly.
My voice keeps breaking.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sat next to a 12-year-old actually.
Hodge is his son.
Spoiler.
But I mean, another thing.
What does it mean to you? Is it
Um,
kind of what I kind of mentioned? Or?
yeah, I think it's just nice to sit down and have a chat, which is why it's easy to get other people on. Hopefully, Edward will someday.
It's just a sit down.
And,
Yeah, Edward.
Ed, and Eddie. But no, I've got a few people in mind.
Okay.
Whether or not they'd make the conversation, more interesting than this.
Really?
You'd imagine they probably would.
You'd hope so.
Because this is currently incredibly dull.
Honesty, that's another part of this conversation as well.
We hate
Very honest.
ourselves. We're not honest. We're just derogatory about everything within us.
No, we don't.
But yeah, no, I like coffee.
That's good.
I like having a chat.
Yeah.
I like talking about things that I'm interested in.
This is all
Surprisingly
about you.
enough, it is. This is just to
Just a
catapult my
sounding board.
career
What's the sounding
to a
board?
leading politician.
Prime
The Hodge
Minister.
Party.
Oh gosh! Don't even joke about that.
The Hodge
It's a
Party.
private joke, anyway.
But we were saying previously we wanted to talk about some music,
Yeah,
and incredibly,
Something
because it's
we
been
both
so
love.
long.
and like
Been so long since we recorded last.
yeah.
Today I was actually sat at work with my friend, Jose.
Cultured.
Jose Manuel Chomi. Shout out.
So I got introduced to him as Chome.
Chome. And it actually was quite good. We were just chilling. And
Nice.
Spotify have released their 2017 stats, which I've been looking to for a while.
No.
Or looking forward to for a while.
Yeah.
So I guess that eases us into some conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you can
Because-
start off by how many minutes you've been listening to this year.
The equivalent of 32 days.
That's an entire month of non-stop, which it pretty much is. when living with you, it's pretty much music all the time. Wake up, your radio
Drink.
plays music. Go to sleep.
Drink. Drink music.
It's just 24/7, but that's okay. That's that's how you connect to your emotions.
Yeah. And I mean, my most played band of 2017 is Foals,
Of course.
which is hilarious because I'm terrified of horses.
What about small horses? You okay with those?
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine.
I like
Foals.
donkeys. They're
Okay.
fine.
Well,
Shetland
It's
ponies.
probably not as good a band name.
Donkeys.
Donkeys.
There is almost definitely a band called Donkeys.
I hope
I'm gonna have a look for
there's a band. Must be a band name for everything.
What about
Don't.
A town called Population. I forgot. But I think it's quite interesting because two of my top 5 listened to songs are by a band a band called Bloody Knees.
Right.
Which I find quite interesting because in my head, they're grunge, you see. And in my head, I didn't listen to them that much, you know.
Okay.
So without getting all philosophical here,
yeah,
clearly, I just listen to music very subconsciously at times to distract me from the monotony of living with you and Edward.
As a deeper psychological issue, we might get to another point.
No, I definitely won't be living in a purchased household. What have you got to say about music?
Oh, wow. Okay.
The conversation's dry significantly.
Dry and deep.
Like an off-date yoghurt.
What did I think about music? Well, I was brought up with the Eagles and Beautiful South.
And UB40.
Robbie Williams.
That's quite a change.
My dad had a very eclectic taste. And then Cher as well.
And Shania Twain. Man.
Of course. But then kind of growing up, it kind of changed. I've got a couple of interesting music stories. Used to be massively into grime. There's part of me.
Oh, that was an enthusiastic.
Yeah,
laugh.
I went to an underground Skepta gig. Oh my god! I can almost hear my voice just doesn't. I can't say Skepta and be anyway. I went to an underground Skepta gig and almost got on a fine KFC.
I like that.
It was a good story.
Typical dirty man.
Saw Flux Pavilion when he was big. Saw Frisco. Saw Devlin. Saw
Devlin's like
Getz.
the biggest chav in the world, isn't he?
Exactly. And I was there.
Cheering him on.
Yeah.
Go on, Devo.
Devo, mate.
I've got 6 fingers, Devo. So you were big into your grime.
I wasn't big into grime, but it's kind of changed now to indie.
I know you're into, is it Bon Jovi?
I'm a big, I was going to say that. Big Bon Jovi fan. No, I hate Bon Jovi.
Bon Iver.
Bon Iver, that's the one. Bon Iver is probably one of my favourite musicians at the moment.
Mm.
I think many people would agree with it.
I just don't get it. I don't get the hype.
That's fair. There's a lot of music that you listen to.
You don't get the hype.
Yeah, I don't get the hype.
What about
anthems?
I like to listen to Scottish music.
Yeah, you do.
Gaelic music.
My brothers and sisters.
Music where I can't understand a word they're saying.
Twin Atlantic. Yeah, Biffy Clyro. Oh, that was American.
You've unleashed a new breed of Scots.
Biffy Clyro.
I mean, we actually spoke
a
couple of weeks ago about the Ministry of Sound.
No, not Reavers. I
thought we recorded
that bit.
I thought, don't let the magic of the podcast slip.
This is our 10th take.
We were basically talking about how music is relevant, or people try and find a relevancy to music. I don't even know if that's a word.
Relevance.
They try and make music relevant when they listen to it. And I was saying how I could look through my playlist and I would see so many songs that were relevant to myself.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to Ministry of Sound because I went through a purple patch a few weeks ago where Ministry of Sound was just on loop. Flipping head.
Oh my goodness, it really is. It's so bad.
It was just on loop.
Yeah.
Just a quick story about my voice.
Yeah, let's just
on the phone the other day at work, and sat next to my friend Jose, native of Spain, and it's getting quite swole, to be fair.
I appreciate that. Work, Jim.
And we get some strange customers.
Yeah.
I won't disclose the sort of customers that we deal with.
Yeah.
And I said hello, and I had my formal introduction.
That's nice.
But as I said my introduction, my voice went from just not being there to being the highest falsetto you've ever heard. It was like Pavarotti had lived for 0.1 second within me. And it went, ugh! And then I couldn't get my words out. I was stuttering and fluttering.
Yeah.
My lips were smacking against each other. Precisely.
Butter.
And I thought I just needed to address the point.
Yeah.
And so I kind of went, oh, sorry, my voice crack just distracted me for a bit there.
Yeah,
and
thinking.
She had absolutely no idea what I was talking about. And it was just this old biddy that just wanted to be left alone. She wanted the answer to her question. And she didn't care if my voice had cracked.
Yeah.
But I thought she might. Because I imagine if you're listening down the phone and you've got this big macho, Hodge, hi, I'm Hodge. And then it's actually, and distracts you and maybe hurts your ear a bit.
The mirage is gone.
Yeah.
Needs to be addressed. Yeah.
I forgot what I was talking about before then.
You were talking about EDM.
Careful.
No, Ministry of Sound. Electronic dance music. I don't know what you think I was talking about. EDM. I'm either being very
means
naive.
nothing. It's close to another acronym.
What?
So,
do you know? That's sick.
Ed has actually just removed his vocal box this evening.
I think he's got his
But how? So it births music is like relevant to you.
Yeah.
And I was just saying that every night I go to bed hearing boom, boom, boom.
I think you've got a heart problem.
And that's my.
If it's that loud, I'd be concerned.
I mean, usually I wear one of those stethoscopes to bed.
Just in case. Just in case.
My heartbeat soothes me, you see, and also reminds me of the pulsating thrashes of EDM.
Never turns off. Even his heart sings the song.
And we spoke as well. We thought we
EDM.
found the revelation
Of why.
that is born from the fact that you're in your mother's womb for 9 months.
Yeah.
I don't know how long you can actually hear from, but there's constantly that boom, boom, boom of your mother's heart, and then your own, and the blood pulsing around your body and around the sac that you're in. I don't know the technical term for it.
Yeah. The EDM sack. Just like one big club.
I like to call it the ODM, Organic Blood Movement. OBM, not DM. Edris just smacked his elbow on the fridge. Did any of you even hear his entrance? No.
Because he slithers like a snake.
Some would call him a snake. Hopefully one day we'll get Edward on the show. But if not, we'll have to get old Jose. Because
Chome, yeah.
Chome.
Jose Chome. Definitely, yeah, I'd love to get him on the show. It'd be interesting. We can interview him.
Edward's being inappropriate.
Yeah, he is. So addressing that rather garish statement of being addicted to EDM for 9 months of your life, it's a pretty interesting fact.
I feel like I could tell you a story about my experiences with music.
Please do. Tell me one.
So I went to a Wolf Alice gig.
Of course.
In 2015 or 16.
Mm-hmm.
It was late 2015, early 2016.
Yeah.
Fun fact, saw 2 people unconscious under a bridge because they'd injected heroin into their arms. That was not very nice.
Right.
Unnecessary tangent. I do hope they're okay.
Probably not.
But we went to Wolf Alice, and 2 stories from this gig actually. So that Bloody Knees band that I mentioned, I might have told you this story. They actually played at that gig, and I thought they were tripe. I thought they were appalling. And I think one of the main reasons is that, because everyone there was about 16, 17. It was one of those gigs that you go to where you expect people to be a bit older, and actually they're younger than your brother. And I was easily the tallest person there, and the guy looks at me directly in the eye.
Oh yeah, you told me.
And licks his lips at me. I'm thinking, you weird man. Firstly, you got a band with a really stupid name. You play rubbish music, and now you're licking your lips at me.
Yeah.
Weird. But then it all.
You sure he looked directly at you?
Yeah. I think he wanted me to do it back, because that's the kind of thing that they do. They thrive off of weird audience participation. Some bands, don't they?
Yeah, I never get that with grime.
What one? Slow.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then later in the gig, so
Skepta Devil Man.
Skepta featuring Bloody Knees.
Lord of the Mics.
You ain't even Lord of your yard.
That's it.
But then Swim Deep played, and they were decent.
Okay.
Swim Deep.
Decent.
And Wolf Alice came on, and you're obviously not going to get massive mosh pits at a Wolf Alice gig. Like, it's not Mad Team. But then there was one going on, and obviously all these young people flying around. This one girl gets clattered, right?
Yeah.
Slams down on the floor. So I grab her as she kind of decks on the arm.
Right.
And I think maybe it could have hurt her friction, whatever, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I grab her arm, and then she, I help her back up, and she kind of looks at me funny and then walks off. And I'm like, hero. I've just saved a young girl's life.
Right.
And then towards the end of the gig, it's getting a bit boring because they played all their best songs at the start. Now they're playing all their slow ones. I'm not a massive fan of. She comes up to me out of absolutely nowhere, looks at me dead in the eye, and just goes,
"Oh my gosh!
I think I saved your life." And now you're roaring at me
said
like
nothing.
the dragon. No. So I laughed in her face. It was the only time I think I've ever done that.
Yeah.
I literally just laughed in her face and walked away. So I thought, what a statement of defiance. You've come to scare me from my territory, you dragon.
Get away from me.
And I'm going to be the bigger man.
And laugh in your face. Like that.
And she's never done it since.
Have you ever seen her since?
Don't think so.
Oh, right, okay. It worked. Technically.
She is now scared of me.
She hasn't come back near you.
I've not gone back to that venue, though.
I mean, that's also fair.
Manchester's a bit of a scary place at night.
Yeah, we don't like to venture in main cities. We like to cower. No.
We like to hide behind the false pretense of anonymity, the falling curtain that will one day be burned.
Yeah, so that's the end of our first podcast. On that.
I mean, what we will do, we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back. It will only be 5 minutes this time.
Okay.
And we're just going to recap some sports and opinions, and then we'll be done.
Fantastic.
See you in a moment.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the next part of our podcast. We're going to be talking about sport in general, but mainly focusing on football, really, because that's what we're really focused and really enjoy. More than most sports.
Do you want to give them a tease? Your
Tease
particular sporting affiliations
of who I follow. Do you mean? Okay, so obviously I'm originally from Norfolk,
and
so East Anglia, but I'm a Norwich City fan. But my dad has always supported Liverpool, so I've always jumped on the Liverpool train. Even when they've been doing really, really bad, which has been nice, and they're doing quite well recently, which is also really nice to see. So,
why is it nice when they're doing bad?
Because then you're a true fan. You're not just jumping on the bandwagon and then moan when it's moving.
It's good when it's moving.
Well, there's just certain people who just moan all the time, really. So
there wouldn't have been many moaners on Saturday.
Definitely not. Many. That was a great game. Liverpool kind of showed their difference, their counter-attacking play.
They'd be a newly promoted side.
But I don't think that's anything to hold against them because they won their previous 2 games quite decently as well. And the combination of Salah,
won 5 out of 6 now, I think.
Yeah, it's just a counter-attacking masterpiece, really. Just speed, direction. Surprised Salah didn't score on Saturday. But
did you know
he did assist.
Brighton, I believe this is correct, Brighton are within the top 10 highest net spenders in Europe.
Wow.
And I was listening to it the other day and it said Huddersfield are up there as well.
Really?
And it's funny how you look at these teams and just assume that they'll go down or that they shouldn't be doing as well as they are.
Yeah.
Which I suppose is probably true for Huddersfield still.
Yeah.
But they've spent a lot of money. Which I guess is just the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't really outclass you from anyone else in the league.
I think is just while we were on that as well, Norwich are one of the only teams in Championship which have no debt as well. But because they keep going up and coming down again, they just keep getting the money from promotion just to wipe off any debts, which is nice. So they don't really seem to spend it.
And bringing in obscure German managers that sound exactly the same as every other German manager that's ever managed in England. With the exact same attire.
It's not doing well.
Apart from Uwe Rosler, maybe.
Yeah, he's not doing well at the moment, but he did do well at the start of the season, but we'll just have to see.
At least you've not got Yip Yap Stam. He's a big Dutch man. Get past him if you think you can.
Thank you for that.
So
how about
Liverpool
you?
battered Brighton.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, so they did quite heavily, which was nice.
Great analysis. Yeah,
They
they did.
They did very easily.
It is a fact that Liverpool won.
It is. To be fair, there was a couple of goals which I thought were a bit. Well, there were like a couple of
There's own goals,
chancy
isn't it?
goals, and an own goal, and I think another one took some kind of deflection. But as a whole, I think Liverpool played really, really well, and I think they played their best attacking form they have in a while. Showed their prowess in counter-attacking, which I'd like to see. Not too bad at the back, still a bit shaky, but it's always kind of been a thing with Liverpool is their defence. But yeah, it was encouraging. But knowing Liverpool, they could easily lose 3-0 to Huddersfield next week if they were playing them. You know, Liverpool seem to have this trend of beating teams quite heavily and then losing easily the next week.
Yeah.
So it's quite encouraging to see them win a few.
I mean, you're playing Spartak Moscow at home tomorrow.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which is not a big game, I don't think, really.
No.
I'm a bit bored of the Champions League this season, to be fair.
Yeah,
it's easy for me to say that because I'm not in the Champions League. Arsenal have failed, and all I can say is that we're still not Tottenham, and that's the only thing that keeps me afloat.
Tottenham did not do well at the weekend, so that's encouraging.
They've not done well for a few games.
They did win.
But then we lost against United. I'd like to make a comment about David De Gea.
Let's just address this.
So, De Gea was very good.
He was very good.
But was he as good as the stats or the hype surrounding his performance suggest? Because I watched the game, and I was one of a few Arsenal fans. We're rare in this part of the world. And we had 33 shots, which is just unreal. That's Football Manager stats, That's Rangers against, like, Peterhead on Football Manager. And the only one that I can really think of that should have been a goal, other than the one we scored, was that double save. Which was, I mean, I think his save from Lacazette was superb. Sanchez comes in again and just batters it straight at the keeper.
Yeah.
And I just think, obviously that was a great save, but was it, you know, it wasn't out of his reach or anything. Saying that, I used to play in goal and I would concede like 6 a game. So my ground to stand on, in a similar manner to the aforementioned Israel-Palestine conflict, is not something that I feel like I'm on good grounds to comment on.
He does some wild comments, not going to lie. But I think with De Gea, what was good about his performance was that it wasn't just a matter of just saving the shot. It was the whole.
He looked good doing it.
He looked good, but also he pushed the ball away from the goal as well. And there was another shot as well, I remember, which should have gone in, which was a deflection off Lukaku. Came off, I think, Lukaku's left leg and was going bottom corner. And De Gea just stuck out a left hand. And somehow, I like...
one of his left hands. He stuck it out.
Is that what I said?
You said a left hand.
He stuck out a left hand. Yeah, he stuck out a left hand. Not one of his left hands. That would have been weird. But he stuck out a left hand and somehow saved the shot. And he just seemed to do that time and time again. And there were some lucky ones where it hit the bar or whatever. And it just seemed like Arsenal just couldn't get the final nail in the coffin.
I mean, it's just Arsenal, isn't it? It's the past 15 years.
It seemed like the old Arsenal. I'm just trying to pass it in.
We love the grass too much.
Me too.
According to old Jose.
Yeah.
But then I think he was talking about we like to eat the grass.
But then Man U, Mourinho did well. Just sat back, let them defend. Rojo played really, really well.
You love Rojo.
I do love him. I've started playing on FIFA and I can't get enough of it. I don't know why he doesn't start more often, but Smalling, not a massive fan of, but he plays okay. And they just seem to defend really, really well. And De Gea was obviously very good. And then just on the counter-attack, Pogba and Jesse Lingard. Flipping egg.
Bit part player turned into a worldie.
Jesse Lingard at all, but on the weekend, he got man of the match ahead of De Gea, which is surprising, but he did score 2 goals, which is good.
Big news in Scotland. Rangers beat Aberdeen twice.
That was a big one. How do you feel about that?
Ecstatic. We haven't beaten the...
Hodge
is a big unionist, which just automatically translates into a Rangers fan.
Okay.
Yeah, buzzing, to be fair, because we've been so under par and
you probably
our
say
board has made bizarre sort of options. Why we brought Pedro Caixinha in, I have no idea. Why we've still not got a manager, no idea. But Graham Murty's done well, to be fair. He did lose 2 games against... He lost against Hamilton and someone else, which I didn't appreciate. But then to win 2 games in a week against Aberdeen, 1 at Pittodrie, big news that. I mean, we're not anywhere near Celtic, and I wish that they hadn't won that penalty against Motherwell, because they just need to end that run.
Yeah.
But I'm pleased about it, and hopefully someday soon there'll be a bit more competition between us, because I now know what it feels like to be your average Scottish team, in the sense that Rangers and Celtic traditionally will always have beaten you, and you don't have a chance of winning anything unless they play poorly. But yeah, good. And obviously, just a quick mention, the Ashes, Joe Root salvaged something for England today, and I have not been following the Ashes at all. I had Sky Sports on at work, and I was watching it there.
Yeah.
He let me just have a quick look. He scored 67 runs. Right, England need 178 more to win.
Yeah.
And they've got 6 wickets to do it. So their best batters are out, but it'll be interesting to see if they can. Otherwise, it's 2-0 already.
Wow.
And Australia are on the way to a whitewash.
I was in Australia when Australia won the Ashes, and it was
5-0.
not a nice experience. Australia don't like the English at the best of times, but when you're around
George
Australia
got
when the
beaten
Ashes
up.
are on, I didn't leave the house for like 4 days.
That sounds violent.
Yeah, it was pretty violent. But yeah, wasn't nice. Wasn't very nice. So just don't go to Australia when the Ashes are on, which my friend is at the moment. He's gone
to watch it.
He's gone to. Is it Adelaide?
Or Brisbane or Sydney.
I think last I heard it was in. I think it was in Adelaide, but. Yeah, I would like to go for like a 1 day, but I couldn't watch the entire thing. I think I just
fall asleep. Get suntan
forever.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think we'll end the podcast there.
Yeah.
One word that's in your head right now, Alexander. Pog.
I don't know why.
Pog is back.
Just thinking of Pogba.
Pog back.
It is. We're back.
We were never here in the first place. We are now here.
Wow. Sounds very ethereal.
If you'd like to hashtag Pogback, that might get us a bit more attention on social media.
Yeah. Especially with my favourite Man U player. Pogback.
But thank you for listening, probably the none of you that listen to this.
Yeah.
It's been a nice little conversation, hasn't it?
It's been a nice conversation. Thank you for joining us in this conversation as well.
We should be back probably within the next 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, hopefully. When we get time to do it.
We would like to do this weekly or fortnightly.
Yeah.
Because there's no point doing it if we
do
it fortnightly.
Yeah, we're going to try and sit down and just have a conversation, and hopefully.
Maybe we can get a microphone.
Maybe we can invest in a microphone, yeah. But if you're interested, you want to subscribe from the very start,
click the subscribe button.
Hit subscribe now. 100 likes. We'll do a Q&A.
A £10 voucher to the Google Play Store.
No, we won't. Okay. Well, thank you for that conversation.
Well, thank you for joining me today, Alexander.
Thank you. Oh, that was a
click of my hand.
Heavy handshake.
See you soon, guys.
Bye.